All around the world, ancient sites have become ridden with grave robbers, vandalism, and iconoclasts. Typically, these criminals would face legal punishment, and that would be all. But there are peculiar, chilling cases that occurred throughout history, which seemingly surpass all logical reasoning when associating burglary and ancient items. The idea of curses and misery brought upon those who are unknowingly or knowingly in possession of ancient artifacts is actually a very real phenomena, and one that has presented itself all too often for it to be a coincidence. One notable instance is the case that caused an uproar all around the world, not only awakening the entertainment industry, but puzzling archaeologists, scholars, and scientists. During the 19th century, a man by the name of Lord Carnarvon died shortly after an extraordinary expedition in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. During this occasion, Carnarvon and his team forced entry into the tomb of Tutankhamun, or commonly known as King Tut. It was reported by another member, Arthur Weigel, that Carnarvon had boasted that he wanted to give a concert within the tomb, to which Weigel remarked something highly ominous, stating that if he goes down in that spirit, I give him 6 weeks to live. The cause of Carnarvon's death, however, was attributed to a mosquito bite that progressed into an infection, leading to multi-organ failure, and anything supernatural and mysterious was brushed off by most. This all changed, however, when a domino effect seemed to manifest among other members of the excavation crew. Following Carnarvon's death, the other members began to die under unknown, tragic, and similar circumstances. Weigel himself was the 21st victim and passed away due to an unknown favor. What was dubbed as the curse by the press was not only impacting the individuals directly associated with the excavation, but it was also affecting those who were related to them. For example, Carnarvon's half-brother was documented to experience temporary insanity and committed suicide, while Lady Carnarvon passed away under eerily similar causes as her husband, an insect bite. Although the press seemed to exaggerate this alleged curse, they did bring to light the case of Howard Carter, who was the lead director of the excavation team. Now, his case was interesting not because he wasn't impacted by the curse at all, but because of the instances involving his acquaintance. This man in particular received a gift of a mummified hand with a bracelet on it that said, "Cursed be he who moves my body. To him shall come fire, water, and pestilence." Soon after, his house burned down, and when it was rebuilt, a flood destroyed it again. Was this the curse at play, or was it pure coincidence? Now, the circumstances revolving around this case, in retrospect, just become even weirder. Several weeks before his trip, Lord Carnarvon actually received a warning in the form of a letter sent by a man by the name of Count Hammon. Hammon was a mystic, and this warning, which was specifically dated on November 30, 1922, said that if he opened the tomb of King Tut, he would die soon after. Included with this rather sinister letter was an attachment of an inscription of automatic writing that read, "Lord Carnarvon, not to enter tomb, disobey at peril. If ignored, would suffer sickness, not recover, death would claim him in Egypt." Carnarvon clearly thought things through because upon receiving this message, he had expressed fear and even considered withdrawing from the project altogether. He sought a second opinion from another seer who observed the palm of his hand. Like Haman, she also delivered bad news, telling him that there was a strong likelihood that he would die shortly after excavating the tomb. During this period, Carnarvon seemed to go back and forth with this, because he went back to the seer for a third and final time. Upon inspecting his palm again, she told him that things were looking even worse than before. At that point, it seemed to be too late to withdraw from the excavation, and by his own words, Carnarvon believed that he was just going to have to challenge the psychic powers of the ages. Once Carnarvon became ill, a man by the name of Charles Fort claimed that he witnessed a naked man running around Carnarvon's house. On April 5th, the day he died, was also the last time this pacing man was seen as well. There are many theories that were established to explain all of these deaths. One such theory is by Egyptologists who believe that infectious microbes were placed within the tomb in order to combat grave robbers. The entire crew was exposed to this and therefore died. While this sounds reasonable, this doesn't really explain the manner of the other deaths, because not everyone died from infections and blood poisoning. Other scholars, on the other hand, outrightly refuted and denounced that the tomb had anything to do with their deaths at all. Instead, they claimed that only a few of the team members were going in and out of the tomb itself, and none of the others were affected. Regarding this, I wonder if they had tested each and every team member, because as we all are aware of, especially in the pandemic that we're currently in, you don't have to, directly be exposed to the toxic microbes to be affected. I mean, considering they were all working together, they could have easily touched shared items, neglected the safety protocols pertaining to disease and infections, and contracted whatever was in that tomb. And there is another group of people, the skeptics, who gawk at all of this. According to them, there were so many other people who took part in the excavation, who ended up living long and healthy lives. Of the 58 people who were directly associated with King Tut's tomb, only 8 of them died within 12 years. Personally, this is a very sound and reasonable belief, but it does raise some questions. We know that a lot of people took part in it, but how involved were they really? At the same time, it seems that when it comes to the idea of this Pharaoh curse, people are really picking and choosing what they want to be real. For example, they talk about the curse impacting relatives that had nothing to do with the excavation, but by the same token, they also seem to suggest that out of the 58 people that were there, the curse probably just impacted those who came in direct contact with it. I mean, which one is it? Or are we just now supposed to believe that King Tut was combing through potential victims, marking every name down in the list, and choosing who he wants to kill? I don't know about you, but that sounds ridiculous. But what do you guys think about this alleged curse? Do you believe it, given some of the odd incidents, such as the fire and flooding of that house? And what about that running man? Or do you think that these deaths and misfortunes were not at all related to anything supernatural, and those fortune tellers were just trying to get their coin? On the topic of the tomb, it also just brings up a whole new debate of the efficacy of excavating archaeological sites. I mean, yes, they do provide us a lot of information regarding the history and cultural traditions, but I also have a feeling that sometimes things are better left untouched. I'm not even alluding to any curses here. Just generally speaking, if someone raided your grave, would you feel some type of way about this? Let me know all of your thoughts about all of this in the comment section below. Because you guys, this Pharaoh curse is just really interesting, because the theories and the debates that this case develops is just very intriguing. All my socials are also linked in the description below, so feel free to follow me there. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting content.